The story started a couple hours earlier when we received a call from the mother of our subject that she was in fear that he was going to harm himself or someone else. Weren't sure exactly his location. They thought he might be in Pasco. They transferred her over to Pasco. They did some checking. We're finally able to determine that he was back here in Kennewick. This is actually the apartment of his wife, and they're separated. They came to the door several times. Finally, a female answered from the inside. She wouldn't open the door. She was saying that she's okay, they can leave. Then they could hear a scuffle inside, some sort of disturbance. In fear for her life and her safety, exigent circumstances, they were trying to breach the door and get inside to protect her. The male voice from the inside then said, "I had a gun." The officers immediately backed out, so they didn't force the situation and get somebody hurt at that point. Started to call in additional resources. Benton County Sheriff's Office, Richland Police arrived as well to help us out. Contained the situation, started the evacuation process, trying to establish communication inside the apartment. Determined that there's obviously a female inside they talked to through the door, and learned that there's a 7-year-old male child inside. The officers were able to convince the female to drop the 7-year-old over the balcony to the officers below. They caught the child. He was not injured. He was taken to safety. They were then trying to get her to jump over the balcony, and they were going to catch her as well. As she's coming down, and they have her in their arms, they hear a shot fired from the balcony. The male fired at the officers. Now, exactly where that shot went, we don't know. It's dark out at this point. We're talking very early this morning. The officers immediately got her on the ground and covered her, shielded her with their bodies. So they were heroes at this point. They were shielding her, making sure she was safe. Don't know where he was firing and if there was going to be additional rounds, but they were going to protect her. Other officers who were there to protect everybody returned fire at the balcony. We knew at that point that he was bleeding, at least, because there was blood that dripped down on one of the officers. So we know that he was wounded. We did not know at this point that there was a second female still inside. That was new information that we learned in the subsequent minutes, that there was still another female inside. SWAT team arrived on scene. They were able to extract that second female from the second-story balcony and get her to safety. Early this morning, about 6:30, 7 o'clock, is when you heard the loud explosions. That was the bomb squad as part of the SWAT team to breach the door, remove the door from the frame so they could get inside, establish communication with the robot. Initially, he was moving. He was still alive. However, in the last last hour or so, he was not moving. They sent another robot in, removed the gun from his hand, trying to move him, no response, and made entry and confirmed that he is now deceased. The scene is now being turned over to the SIU unit to take this investigation. We know we have shots from the suspect and from officers. The officers involved in the shooting, one from Richland and one from the Benton County Sheriff's Office. None of the Kennewick officers fired any rounds. So Kennewick will take the lead on the SIU investigation.